believe the Constitution protects the right to privacy. And I have no reason or agenda to prejudge the issue or to predispose to rule one way or the other on the issue of abortion.
Roe versus Wade is an important precedent of the Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court has reaffirmed the decision, sometimes on the merits, sometimes in Casey, based on stare decisis. And I think that when a decision is challenged and it is reaffirmed, that strengthens its value.
It is a precedent of the United States Supreme Court. It was reaffirmed in Casey in 1992 and in several other cases. So a good judge will consider it as precedent of the United States Supreme Court, worthy as treatment of precedent like any other.
This is an important precedent of the Supreme Court that's been reaffirmed many times, but then and this is the point I want to make that I think is important, Planned Parenthood versus Casey reaffirmed Roe and did so by considering the stare decisis factors. So Casey now becomes a precedent on precedent.
People use super precedent differently.
Okay.
The way that it's used in the scholarship and the way that I was using it in the article that you're reading from was to define cases that are so well settled that no political actors and no people seriously push for their overruling. And I'm answering a lot of questions about Roe, which I think indicates that Roe doesn't fall in that category. And scholars across the spectrum say that doesn't mean that Roe should be overruled. But descriptively, it does mean that it's not a case that everyone has accepted and doesn't call for its overruling.
Oh, my God. She's the only one, okay? She's the only one that suggested that she was willing to overturn Roe v. Wade based on her idea that people still argue about it, therefore it's not settled in law, which is crazy because people still argue about everything. Everything. I don't know one thing people don't argue about. Let's ban money because people argue about money all the time. Let's ban everything that people argue about. I mean, it's just ridiculous. But they lied. They lied, and everyone knows that they lied.
You've said that the 5 Supreme Court justices lied in their confirmation hearings when they said that Roe v. Wade was precedent and settled law. Are you accusing them of committing perjury?
You know, I come at this issue from the perspective of a lawyer who worked in fraud all the time, corporate fraud. If a corporation put these kind of statements in their quarterly filings, they would be seen to be purposefully misleading and would be deemed fraud. So I think all their statements should be looked at very, very carefully. And I think they misled the Senate with the intention of getting their confirmation vote with the intention of overruling Roe. And so I'm very concerned that these justices have crossed a line that no one believed would be crossed. That they would purposefully create the impression that they would not overrule settled precedent, and that it was not only deserving of due weight and the importance of precedent, but because it had been reaffirmed that it deserves more weight, and then go ahead and overturn it, especially with the reasoning that Justice Alito makes in this draft opinion. It's outrageous.
They're liars. They are posers, as we used to say. Okay? These are disingenuous people who pose themselves in a very genuine fashion as being jurists who care a great deal about stare decisis and precedent upon precedent and privacy rights and settled law and all these things, just so that they could build a majority of lunatic, fringy people on that court and restrict rights in this country, rights to privacy. Now, you know, the very next thing to go is going to be contraception. That is the very next thing. And we know that. We know that because Mississippi is the arbiter of all things, private now, right? They're going to say what is and what isn't permitted in our society because Mississippi turned out so well. It turned out to be a great state for health care, for children, for the foster care system, for poverty. It's such a guiding light for the rest of America, isn't it? Don't we all want to be more like Mississippi than, California? Don't we all want to be more like Mississippi than New York? Don't we all want to be more like Mississippi than Illinois? I know every day people wake up and go, how do I get this functioning state to be more like Mississippi? That's going to be my goal. I mean, the governor of Mississippi was on the TV this weekend, and they asked him, like, how in the world do you want the rest of the United States to look more like Mississippi?
So, Governor, you and I have talked about this before, but Mississippi, as you know, has the highest rate of infant mortality in the United States. You have the highest rate of child poverty in the United States. Your state has no guaranteed maternity leave that's paid. The legislature in Mississippi just rejected extending postpartum Medicaid coverage.
Great.
Your foster care system is also the subject of a long-running federal lawsuit over its failure to protect children from abuse. You and I have had this conversation before.
Oh my God.
I hear you. You say you want to do more to support mothers and children, but you've been in state government since 2004. You were the state treasurer, then you were the lieutenant governor, now you're the governor. Based on the track record of the state of Mississippi, why should any of these girls or moms believe you?
Well, look, as I've told you before, and I'll tell you again, the reality is that when I got elected governor, my very first speech in my inaugural address, I was very clear that I believe in my heart that I was elected not to try to hide our problems, but to try to fix our problems. We have a long history of poor health outcomes. It's due in large part to poverty, and so we are focusing every day on fixing the challenges that are before us. When you talk about things, when you talk about these young ladies, the best thing we can do for them is to provide and improve educational opportunities for them. And we've worked extremely hard in our state to do that. We've got to continue to work to provide workforce opportunities, jobs for these individuals. But to do that, they've got to improve the quality of their skills, and we as a state are investing heavily in that.
He wants you to work more. Now, how do you work more if you have more children? And there's no paid leave to take care of those children. And there's no child care. There's no health care. Not for you, not for your children. Foster care is a complete and utter shambles. Those kids are abused constantly. This is an ongoing problem in Mississippi, along with infant mortality, along with mothers dying in childbirth, along with poverty, along with, well, you know, I keep on saying that I believe I was elected. If you've been in government your entire adult life in Mississippi. I'm telling you, it's just a fundraiser. You understand that? It's just a fundraiser. They don't give a damn about the issue. They don't give a damn about the children. They don't give a damn about the women. They don't give a damn. They just care about power, and this is a constant performer. Don't have time to listen to the live show? Want to hear more on your schedule? Go to randyrhodes.com and buy a stinking podcast.